so I said as we went into break, we talk a little bit about expectations a little bit. And what the word expectations is tricky on a number of fronts. But what I wanted to focus on in expectations is setting precedents. And one of the dangers of an expectation is when you do something for someone, regardless of whether it came from a template or not, that person starts to expect you to continue to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you don't model that behavior, if you aren't consistent with behavior, you all of a sudden become a bad guy, a failure, a disappointment. Tricky, right?
Failure.
Failure.
You failed to follow through.
Failed to follow through. So I think when it comes to setting precedents, and I'll give you an example, Ted. You ever heard of, in the workplace, you've ever heard of this thing called a 360 review?
No, fill me in.
A 360 review is something many companies, more and more companies are doing, but many are afraid to do. This fits into the topic. It allows the employees to do a review for their boss.
Nice.
Okay? And it's a very, it's not a lengthy process, but it's a very calculated process that's designed to put everybody on an even playing field.
Right.
And what's interesting about the 360 review is when I talk to executives at companies and I say, how come you don't do a 360 review? And their answer in many cases is because if I'm criticized or given feedback of something and I can't actually follow through with it and I can't live up to the expectations of what they're saying, I'm opening a can of worms I don't want to deal with. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's the general message.
Yeah, I can see that point of view.
But Ted, what I don't understand is if I said to you, Ted, you've been so kind to me at the radio station, how can I repay you? Now don't answer. How can I repay you? That question is so open-ended that you could. I've just left myself open to anything. I mean, you could say a trip to Australia.
Oh, but buddy, I was born in the Bronx. You're not even close to leaving yourself open. You're right. You're absolutely right.
So here's the thing about expectations. There's an assumption at times that when you make an overture or an ask or request of someone else, and you leave it open-ended and you let them critically think, that means you're obligated to deliver on what they expect. And you're not. An expectation is only allowed if you agree on it, if it's stated and agreed upon. So that's why when I look at the situation of the 360 review, I say, okay, so let's play this out. You do the 360 review, and let's say the person says to you, you don't give me enough feedback. What I would like you to do moving forward is I'd like you to give me feedback 3 times a week. And you're like, holy smoke, I manage 50 people. There's no way in hell I could give you feedback 3 times a week.
That's two jobs right there.
Right? So now, why does the takeaway have to be, well, geez, if they ask me that and I don't think I can meet that expectation or deliver on it, I better not ask at all. And so...
Well, it's fear again.
It's fear. So I bring up expectations because they're such a trigger and they're so polarizing for people. But there's the stigma around expectations. A lot of it can be removed with just obvious communication and conversation strategy.
That's it.